Hey Brian, how are you?
Good, Nick. How's everything on your end? Oh, you're on mute, I believe. There we go.
Yep. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
All right. Yeah. Recently, the Bitcoin market tanked, so it created a lot of hoo-ha around here.
Yeah, quite a bit. It seemed to have rattled quite a few people. Sentiment is way down, and there's quite a bit of questions about whether crypto is even relevant anymore. So it's getting to that stage where capitulation is at a high point.
Yeah. I think if you look at it from a contrarian point of view, it's a good thing.
Very much, yeah, and we definitely do at Santiment, as you know. It's we'd all like to see this kind of FUD be there even when prices are rising, but the reality is people get greedy when things go up and they get extremely fearful when things go down.
Yeah. So let me do the introduction first.
You bet.
All right. Okay, welcome everyone. Today is the 12th of June, 2026. I am Nick from EquitiesTracker, and I will be speaking with Brian from Santiment. He will be sharing with us about the latest crypto news and updates.
Yeah, great to be here, Nick. Always a pleasure catching up with you once a month to discuss all of the market happenings and look at what Santiment is showing with all of the macroeconomic stuff and Saylor's behavior and Trump's latest ceasefire, all sorts of stuff.
Yep. So I think the natural thing everybody will be wondering is what's actually happening because the price recently tanked so badly. So I'm pretty sure Sentiment is going to get hit really hard on this.
Yeah, that's definitely what we're seeing. I'll share my screen here and we can go over a few of the biggest metrics, including sentiment. So based on what we're seeing with the 30 days or so since we last spoke, social volume's actually been up for most assets. You can see Bitcoin 21% higher, Ethereum 20% higher, XRP way over here getting more than double the amount of discussion compared to last month. So mostly a sea of green here in social volume, but not for good reasons. It's because they're talking more about all of the negative free falls that we've seen in the market caps. Bitcoin is down 21% over the past 30 days. Ethereum down 26.5%. Solana over here down almost 30%. Bitcoin Cash, the biggest loser, losing over half of its market cap in the last month.
Wow.
And there's only a few exceptions. I see Hyperliquid is still doing well, plus 47%, Rain plus 76, Dex plus 67, and WorldCoin up 86%. These are just among the top 60 or so market caps.
Wow, social volume has really gone through the roof, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, this is like a broad look at what we've seen between mid-May to mid-June, where we're at now, compared to mid-April to mid-May. So especially when things really began to free fall in late May, that's when the social volume was just soaring for a lot of cryptocurrencies, and people were wondering whether they should sell their bags, which many ended up doing. And every semblance of a relief rally has seemed to just come up short so far.
All right.
You can see just over the past week too, the market cap has kind of neutralized, but the volume, interestingly, trading volume has dropped significantly. In fact, I put out a post less than 24 hours ago about the plummeting trading volume going on. This is the last 4 years of trading volume using the current largest non-stable coins in crypto. Oh. And you can see the green represents Bitcoin. That's always typically going to be the leading volume getter. Ethereum sometimes gets very close. But especially since like last July, shortly before we had that all-time high briefly in early October, we've seen trading volume just go lower and lower and lower. And altcoin volume has gone lower and lower as well. So pretty much across the board, there's less trading. And, you may think that that's a worrisome sign. It's really not. It's actually a sign that traders have gotten disinterested. They're tired of losing money. And when they're not losing money, they're maybe getting a very moderate profit before another leg down. And I think complacency and capitulation has been a result of that. So where we're at now is kind of wondering how low we need to go before we get a recovery. Well, mid 2024 or so, right around maybe here, if not even here, this is the last time we saw volume that low. And these were actually pretty ideal times to buy. You look at how trading volume sunk here, and then we get this price explosion. That's what this white line is Bitcoin's price. So all of crypto volume goes down, then price explodes. All of crypto volume goes down again, Bitcoin's price goes up again. You can see right here, it really peaks. This was right as Trump was elected in early November of 2024. So he's talking all about Gary Gensler and how he's going to bring in pro-crypto leaders and ambassadors every which way. So everyone gets very optimistic, especially altcoins. You can see all these multicolors down here. Yeah. And eventually, things take a turn and we are disappointed when he's inaugurated and Bitcoin keeps going down. Trading volume drops, and then all of a sudden we get this big rebound again. You get the idea. Every time trading volume goes down, there tends to be a rebound of some sort. And I don't think this will be any different when it's all said and done.
The fall of trading volume is also likely to be contributed by the past few months of Bitcoin prices coming down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. When crypto just isn't doing well, there's just less trading overall. People either hold or they panic sell and then they're never heard from again until we get another big bull rally.
This is a little bit like the retail as well. It's closely related to that, is it?
Say it again, the retail what?
The retail traders and investors, like we always look at the chart where you will see the whales versus the dolphins and sharks versus the retail.
You're referring to maybe my favorite indicator, which is, if I can get it up, right here. We'll full screen that.
Yeah.
So the green line is the percentage of 10 to 10K wallets and how much they hold. The blue is the actual total amount of coins they hold. And then the red and the yellow, it's the same things for the really small traders. And it's very obvious that retail is still going up while whales and sharks are still going down. And that's the biggest concerning sign is even after this big drop and, we keep bouncing off of 60K, we're not really seeing whales and sharks terribly interested in these prices.
Yep. They're still selling down.
Yeah. There's arguably even a little bit of a bearish divergence because even in the last 4 or 5 days or so, it's still going down and price has actually gone up a little bit. So that's concerning.
So the market uncertainty is still there. Yeah. So likely they don't want to pick up anytime now.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to say. We're just going off of what we've seen recently. But I get the impression that after this Trump announcement, which is really the biggest news we've seen in a while, things can change in a hurry. And we can see if we go to the S&P versus Bitcoin comparison chart, there was a big jump in equities on the second half of the day. I'm sure you guys heard about it over in Malaysia as well.
Yep.
If I just go to the last week, you can see it better. So here, I'll just go to today for a moment. This is how I'll hide the other two. So we just look at the S&P. This is how the S&P was trading, going up and down, up and down. And then about halfway through the trading day, we suddenly get the news that according to Trump, he claimed the highest levels of the agreement were being finalized. So, of course, it's still not a confirmation. There's still no signature of any kind, but the highest levels of the agreement are being finalized. And that was enough to really get people excited. And we see an immediate jump of almost 2% in the S&P 500 over the course of the next 2 hours or so. So that was the big news. Bitcoin didn't have the largest reaction to it. I know it looks like it right here. Like it definitely still reacted. But as we can see, as of now, it's only up about 1.5% since that news happened. So it's really tough to say whether this one is a buy the rumor, sell the news situation or not. I think everyone is so exhausted by now as to whether there's a ceasefire or it's back on or whether it's another ceasefire, that they're kind of just shrugging and saying, I'll believe it when we see an actual agreement finalized. And up until that point, you know, we have to just ride these waves knowing that we're on the outside of whatever is being decided on in these inner circles.
Yeah. Recently, we had our investors quarterly update.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we talked about in that update is that the market has been spurred a lot by Trump's message delivery of a lot of different messages, as one of them being the Strait of Hormuz. So we did a research on finding out how many times that he said the deal with Iran is going well.
Mm-hmm.
So it from the day of the beginning of the war until today, he has mentioned this thing about 38 times.
Jeez, 38.
38. So it's you know, when once you see that data, it's quite funny.
Yeah, it's pretty jaw dropping.
Yeah, so I mean that's how we see that he's just kind of playing with the market right now.
Right. I mean, regardless of your opinion as to whether this is all intentional and market manipulation or whether he really is changing his mind this much and it's all kind of a negotiation tactic to get Iran to comply with what the US wants.
Yep.
It is what it is. And we've seen it so much.
Yes.
Since the beginning of the year. I guess late February is when the fireworks really began.
Yeah.
We had some airstrikes last June in 2025. And then it was kind of calm relatively. And then all of a sudden in late February, that's when the war, as we know it, at least conflict, whatever you call it, that's when it all really kicked off. And we're going on 3.5 months of it now.
Yeah. I don't see it coming to an end anytime soon, as long as we are still in this mumbo jumbo.
Yeah. Yeah. They put this out on the White House handle earlier today. It just says, based on the fact that discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States of America, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. Discussions and final points have been in both concept and great detail approved by all parties involved, including the US, Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, and others. Whichever countries were part of the and others must have felt very disrespected that they didn't get to be mentioned by name. But regardless, and it goes on to say, the naval blockade will remain in full force and effect until this transaction is finalized, time and place of the signing to be announced shortly.
Wow.
And then what this chart shows here is the social dominance related to all these different words. So I put together a query of words like war, conflict, battle, tensions, USA, Iran, Israel. And we're looking for any mentions of any of these words that are combined with words like end, ending, finishing, finished, over, peace, agreement, truce, cease, ceasing, ceased, or ceasefire. So you get all of these together, and it kind of works as an indicator for how soon the crowd believes we are going to see peace in the Middle East, basically.
Wow.
This one's kind of covered. I made it a little transparent, but this was around June 7th, and we did see a little bit of a peak, and that actually led to a price top. So it basically topped less than 24 hours later, and that's when it started to fall. But of course, there was a lot of indecision, and the next couple or earlier this week, we're only talking about a few days ago. Earlier this week, Trump basically indicated that he's going to have to, retaliate. I can't remember the exact wording, but he had a lot of aggressive words during June 9th and June 10th. And then just in the past 24 hours, he suddenly says discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved. And that's why we see this spike, which is the highest of the month so far, in terms of how much the crowd believes we are about to see peace or the end of this conflict.
Well, social dominance is pretty high, yeah?
Yeah, so social dominance is basically the percentage of how much this topic, or this combination of all the topics, are making up the entire piece of the pie in terms of all crypto-related discussions in crypto circles.
Well, it's 80+%. That's
0.88.
Oh, 0.8. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, which is still a lot. Any topic that normally isn't discussed much, I mean, it's always a bit of an ongoing issue, but if it reaches almost 1%, when you're talking about all the other topics going on, Michael Saylor, Bitcoin's price, Solana and their outage, whatever the case is, Ethereum Foundation, all these different topics, if you're getting 1% of crypto discussions, that means it's a very, very focused on topic at that moment.
Wow.
And speaking of which, we have some interesting things that are on top of our trending stories right now. Sports moments, which is an interesting one. Here in the US, there was a very big basketball game last night. So not really that crypto relevant, but still being discussed in crypto circles. And then, of course, the SpaceX tokenized IPO, which I'm sure you've heard about, Nick. It's happening tomorrow. I guess it would be almost Saturday your time, but Friday US time. And it just says the spotlight falls on SpaceX as its massive IPO prices at $135 and trading begins tomorrow under SPCX. Tokenized SPCX products are already live across Solana and multiple venues, drawing huge pre-IPO volume and open interest. Traders chase 24/7 on-chain liquidity and hot retail demand, while commentators warn of extreme volatility and potential pump and dump behavior. So that's, I mean, even though it's showing number 2, this is clearly going to be the big focus in the next 16 to 24 hours or so. So I'd keep a close eye on that. The PPI, go ahead.
Brian, the tokenized SpaceX tokenized IPO is currently live, is it, for the tokenized version?
I don't I think across Solana it is. I know there's some other places where it isn't going to launch until the actual IPO is official, but yeah, there's already been a lot of pre-IPO volume and open interest.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been pretty heavily anticipated, pretty much since people started hearing about it.
Yeah, I just didn't expect the tokenized version to appear so soon.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, please continue.
No, of course, especially in today's world, if there's enough interest being drawn, like the tokenization of it follows pretty quickly.
The
more minor story is the PPI surprising at 6.5 versus 6.4 expected. Markets parse this as inflationary pressure at the producer level, but cooling in core goods and the labor market. I've actually heard there's some increasing arguments about an interest rate rise.
Yep.
And I don't know, maybe you can elaborate on this, Nick, but my understanding is that Trump's hands are a bit tied from being able to do it, even though the economy kind of needs it.
Yep. From our side, we did some research on this. So the federal because the new federal chairman will be Kevin Walsh, yeah. So and historically he has hold more of a hawkish stand where he wants to increase the rate, but as he gets nominated, he starts changing his tune. So he starts to say that he starts to like align with Trump. Because Trump wanted the interest rates to come down. As interest rate comes down, more money enters the market, and every asset class will get that part of that liquidity. So Trump really wants that to happen, but and as everybody knows that Kevin Walsh carries this hawkish stand, so they are pricing in that worry that the interest rate will continue to rise. But because of Trump, so there's this mixed message that's coming up from the federal department. So that's why his appearance, I think next week or so, is going to be a very big moment, because everybody is going to look for that tiny little indication from him as to where the markets will be. But as of now, I can see that even Poly Markets is saying that the interest rate will not rise. But that's as of last week. I'm not too sure this week how it looks. But I believe that because of the PPI data, the interest rate is gonna they might be pressured to increase the interest rate, because in order to battle that inflation, the interest rate has to go up in order to stop the inflation from coming.
Makes sense. So there's just an inevitable wave of inflation likely to hit, and the natural battle to that would be to raise interest rates. But we now have this new Fed chair that seems to be aligned with Trump and wants to do the opposite. So we're in this weird spot.
Yes. So I'm actually waiting for next week, because once Kevin Walsh appeared the first time in the federal FOMC meeting, I think that might have a major reaction to the market. But I'm not too sure how it will go. But definitely it's a sight to watch.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a big event, because we heard all about how much Trump hated Jerome Powell. He called him too late Powell all the time. So he got his way. He got someone new in the chair, and now we'll see if he'll do the responsible thing.
Yeah, but I think that everybody is anticipating that if he were to follow Trump's way, that it just tells the world that the Fed might not be independent. It might be very dependent on the president. But in reality, the Fed have to be independent of the executive. So that narrative might take a hit if, let's say, he were to reduce rates. So that's a lot of talks about this on both sides. So we have no idea where it's going to go.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. And I do think that's going to be the biggest, after the SpaceX event tomorrow comes and goes, and we see, I'm sure, a little bit at the beginning of the week related to the launch. It's quickly going to transition toward the end of next week into this big FOMC meeting. Yeah. And all eyes will be on that.
Wow.
Yeah. Thanks for elaborating about it, though.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt your
No,
updates.
I love learning from you guys, and you do great research on this stuff. So I of course, even though I live in the US and I follow this stuff from a macroeconomic perspective, my main focus is going to be crypto, and you guys have more of the equities knowledge. So I always love to learn.
Yep. Thanks.
Of course. Just a few quick points on other things that are going on. Active addresses and network growth for Bitcoin still way down, still fading over time. If we go back like 5 years, you can see just how much these trend lines keep going down in terms of usage on the network. And then MVRV, I'm still keeping a close eye on because average trading returns remain very low. 30-day average returns at negative 8.6%. That's very, very low. The 365-day, anyone that's been active in the past year is down an average of 30% on their investment. So these are still typically good buy zones. It just doesn't mean things are going to rebound immediately. Sometimes you need to kind of tread water and wait for the right moment. And we've got a couple big events coming up in the next week that could spark a rally.
Yep.
Whale activity is pretty usual. I noticed a lot of profit taking today. Wanted to point this out. So this is the highest amount or highest ratio of transaction volume in profit compared to at a loss since May 4th. So I think this minor rebound from that Trump announcement about the ceasefire was enough for us to make about a 5-week high in profit taking. So that's something to keep an eye on. I think retail viewed this as just another bump in the road. It's not real. We're going to hear that the war is back on in 1 or 2 days. So they're viewing this as like the small window of opportunity to take profit.
Wow, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
To see the profit.
And that's definitely the overall narrative that I've seen, especially on X and Reddit. It's almost like the boy who cried wolf, where we've heard so many times that a ceasefire is happening in various versions of it that we're kind of numb to it. And so I understand retail's disbelief about how sincere this one is.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And that's really about it. You can see all the realized losses that are still mounting over the course of time on the network, which is good. Eventually, I mean, not good for the people losing money, of course, we sympathize, but you need these types of losses to eventually help the price rebound. And then once it starts gaining momentum, you want to start seeing a lot of realized profits to help continue that rally along.
Yeah.
Also, supply and exchanges is still going up. I'll hide this one for a moment. But yeah, like the percentage of Bitcoin's available supply and exchanges has been going up for about a month and a half, as has just the overall amount of coins. So according to the amount of coins that we're able to track, there's about 1.33 million Bitcoin on exchanges now compared to 1.28 million a month and a half ago. So it's gone up by about 4.2%.
Wow. So that's a selling back to the exchange going on then.
Right. So I would expect, if we do rebound back to 65K, maybe even 70K, it's going to be coming with a lot more retail trying to sell their bags right now.
Oh.
And maybe some institutionals too.
But Brian, why does this like we can see that the supply is going back into the exchange, and retail are showing some signs of letting go, but on the chart where we see that retail and the whales, but we still see that retails are going up. So is that a sign that the retail are still in the euphoric moment, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of retail have moved their coins to exchanges, but they haven't found that spot to do a mass sell-off yet. And I would guess, based on the narratives, that they're looking at 65 to 70K as the time where a lot are trying to time it, because we've seen consistent rejections of 70K over the course of this year so far. And for a lot of people, it's kind of a not a support, a resistance level. So it's basically retail moving from cold wallets onto their retail exchange wallets. Therefore, the supply is still going up, but the percentage that retail holds has only gone higher also.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and the latest trending stories with Saylor selling his coins, I think that took the market by storm, isn't it?
Yeah. We talked about it on our This Week in Crypto, Balance and I, on Friday.
Yeah.
And I still have, we'll just do Saylor, or I don't want to put strategy because that's too common of a word. I'll just use their old company name for now, MicroStrategy. But yeah, you can see how much that news hit when it happened on June 1st. And the social dominance was staying high. It's actually starting to gain some traction again. I know there was some new news, but I haven't fully gotten up to date on it. Yeah, he did a public speaking today, so that's why there's a bit of a spiking today. It's funny. Michael Saylor clarifies, never sell your Bitcoin was advice to investors, not a promise his company would never sell.
That's funny.
So I guess he did address it. Yep, he said it live right here. I said to you to never sell your Bitcoin. I never said that the company wouldn't sell Bitcoin.
Wow.
Yeah.
The way he switched the narrative, man.
People don't like hypocrisy in this day and age. There's always been hypocrisy, but thanks to how quick things roll out on social media now, you get pretty buried if it's this transparent.
Do you know Andrew's brother Elvin?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, okay.
Is he part of the company?
Yeah. He's the CEO of the company.
Okay.
So he's a very strong equities person. So he had a view on what's happened, why Saylor had to sell the 32 Bitcoin, which makes sense because we are in the financial plumbing of the financial industry. So we understand the limitations of certain things that happens inside closed doors. So he had this theory that Saylor had to sell the 32 Bitcoin is because the banking system within the US couldn't deliver the cash on time for him in order to pay the stretch dividend. So he shortfall to pay the dividend because the dividend was on a Friday, I think it's a Friday, the end of the week. But because it was on Monday, the next Monday was Memorial Day for the US, so the bank couldn't initiate that transfer. So that's why he was short of $2.5 million to pay the STRC investors dividend. So he had to quickly liquidate that 32 Bitcoin in order to make that shortfall so that he can pay the investors. But of course, this is something that we investigate ourselves, and we know the limitation of the financial industry. So, but I don't think Saylor can say it out loud because you don't want to be going against the banking and the big players. So we are seeing that from another perspective. So in front of the camera, he had to say like a different story,
Right.
Yeah. So
it sounds like a weird thing a little bit where there is an explanation for the very mild sale. And let's face it, compared to how much they have, 32 Bitcoin is almost nothing. It's like a fraction of a decimal point. And the weird thing was he actually had a legitimate reason that seems rational, but he couldn't say it because he had to protect the company. So it was this weird spot where only like the small percentage of people who truly understood the motive kind of were able to understand why he did it. Where the optics of it looks terrible because he's Mr. Never Sell. So, yeah.
But I mean but the sentiment shift after that was drastic. I mean, even though it was such a small amount, it was so drastic that you can kind of see that cryptocurrency really is driven heavily by sentiment.
Yep.
Yeah. So it
always has been, always has. Yeah, it always will be.
Yeah. I think that's that's a big revelation for me when I see that the next day when I see the price start falling that way after Saylor sold that Bitcoin. So it's just like, wow, this just proves sentiment really drives heavily on the cryptocurrency markets.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
And you're gonna see me asking you more questions, Brian, because sentiment is just something you guys do.
Fire away anytime, even between now and next month. I'm always happy to talk. And if you guys have suggested topics we can research and post and tag you guys on socials, we're happy to do that.
Yep. I'm actually really happy to listen to your point of view as well.
Thanks, brother. No, it's always wonderful catching up and going over the topics of the last week, if not the last month. And, right now, I think the overall picture is I still would be a little above water on like super bearish versus super bullish. I'm probably like a 6.5 out of 10 right now. Okay. Not investment advice, of course, but the biggest things are like the MVRV is showing like extreme pain already. So if there was a further drop, it would really be shocking due to how much blood there's already been. And it is a zero-sum game at the end of the day. So the further we fall down, the more implied of a huge rally we're going to have down the road.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
But we do need to see more whale and shark accumulation. And right now they're not really showing much willingness to buy more.
Yep. But I look at the from the last drop until today, they are technically still kind of up a little bit.
Barely, so yeah.
That gives me a little bit of like, okay, it's not as bad as it looks. But ideally, we want to see some level of accumulation, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. They're kind of moving flat at the moment, so it's better than them dumping. But I don't know. Maybe that once we see, if we do see a breach below 60K, which I obviously don't know myself, whether that's going to happen, I think that's when we really might start to see a different behavior from retailers, because retail still thinks 60K is safe, and that's like a support level. And if that breaches at some point after teasing that it would a few times over the last couple of months, I think a lot of retail would start to really panic. A lot of people who bought in like the 50Ks will be like, oh no, I have to get out while I have profit still, and that's when whales and sharks can really pounce in a hurry and then start a brand new bull cycle.
God, that will be the time for them to take advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Brian, thank you so much for coming on today. It's another fruitful session, especially for me.
Oh, same here. I love learning from you, and it's always a pleasure, Nick. I'm looking forward to our next one in July.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that too.
All right, brother. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.